Hey everybody, and welcome to Q&A Wednesday, where I answer the questions that you have about your health and fitness goals. Just a couple of things. I know I'm in my comfy spot. I do have a new studio coming, so it's in the works. It's going to be pretty awesome. And it'll be quiet out there. So I'm really excited to get things fixed up and get that going. Because I know this is boring. Like, I get it. Like, but it is my comfy spot. And I'm trying out my new tabletop ring light that my client Kathy Bolton gave me, and I really appreciate it because it's awesome. You can never have too many lights when you are trying to build your own studio. All right. So first of all, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, whatever it is that you celebrate. I'm hoping that you have an amazing week. I know it's kind of a weird year, so we're all just, I want you to be happy, and hopefully you get to spend some time with friends and family. I feel like I put my lipstick on weird, so yeah, I'm just getting some things there. Okay, so I am very aware that we're rushing into the new year, 2021, and it's funny because everybody's like, oh my gosh, I can't wait for the new year because this one's horrible, and I'm like, well, what makes you think the next year's going to be any better? Although, I love a new year. To me, it was always September when the kids went back to school was always a kind of a new beginning for me. And of course, then New Year's is when I kind of sit down and review my goals. I make a new goal poster, which if you've seen it before, it's like a poster board with all the things that I'm working on, both professionally and personally. I love that. So it might be an interesting year coming up, but you know what? I remain hopeful that amazing things can happen. You know what? We're human, but we are resilient. And so, I'm cheering for everybody. Okay, so let's talk really quickly. Most people set New Year's resolutions, which is fine. I don't have a problem with that. My only concern about New Year's resolutions is the fact that most people have short-term goals, but don't have plans to extend, their health goals into a healthy lifestyle. Like, hey, I'm going to lose 20 pounds in 3 months, but then I'm going to go back to what I was doing before, but I expect to keep my results. And so it doesn't really work that way. And I know a lot of us right now have probably put on a little bit of holiday weight. So it's time to start thinking about what to do. And I know that everybody thinks, well, I'm just going to exercise, but that does not cut it. It is 90% nutrition it doesn't even matter what your goal is. If you're trying to grow muscle, if you are trying to lean out, if you're trying to get stronger, if you are trying to have more endurance, it all depends on fueling your body that way. So I'm going to talk really quickly tonight about what is important when it comes to diet and nutrition. I don't love the word diet because diet, to most people means I got to starve myself. And that's definitely not what we're looking for. One of the things I've learned in my 10 years of becoming a trainer, and of course I read a ton, and it's really unfortunate that we are not educated better on how nutrition works. So I really quickly just want to give you some basics so that as you get started, it needs to make sense. And I know a lot of my clients are really frustrated. It's confusing information. There's a lot of noise out there. And so they literally are going, I don't get it. I don't know where to start. So my first tip to you when it comes to getting back on track with a new nutrition plan or really focusing on eating better, because you realize that eating better is going to, number one, because food is information, right? It's either causing your body to have disease or it is fixing or healing your body from issues and things like that. So, type 2 diabetes is very, very specific. It is a disease that is pretty much preventable if you know how to do it. You might be predisposed for it, but that does not mean that you actually have to get it. It really is a lifestyle, an environmental issue. I know that I'm predisposed to type 2 diabetes. That is why I got healthy. I know that my 210 pounds was not sending me anywhere in a good place. So that's part of it. But if you're eating right, you're gonna make some good gains. That's where the direction you're going there. So, hi Kathy, thank you for my ring light. She said so illuminated. All right, so number one, let's just get back to basics, right? Let's talk about whole food versus processed food, because like I said, I know that there's a lot of misconceptions that, hey, if I just eat these diet foods, we're going to talk a little bit about some of the diet foods that are super popular. And I get it to an extent because it's easy and efficient and we're all so busy for the most part, but there's better ways to do it than anything that's packaged, and comes with all these horrible chemicals in it. And we're going to talk a little bit about that in just a second. But really the difference between whole and processed food is whole food contains nutrients, and that's what we're eating. We're eating for fuel and nutrients, not just calories. We'll talk about that as well in a second. But processed food, it's already been processed down to a position where your body absorbs more of it. And unfortunately, it ends up being a lot of sugar and things that our body does not respond well to. So again, if you just stick with the whole foods as much as possible. In general, it's really interesting when I start working with people nutritionally, they're like, wow, that's a lot of food. And I'm like, yes, but it's whole food and your body doesn't absorb it as quickly. It has to heat up a lot harder to break it down, especially like protein. Protein is a thermogenic nutrient. Your body has to heat up really to break it down unless it's, something that's very, very processed. So you're actually going to use calories just burning it up and breaking it down and preparing your body to absorb it. So, there's a big difference between eating something that's whole, which is, we'll talk about that in a second, versus processed. Processed is pretty much anything that's going to be boxed in the middle of the store, right? The edge of the store, the grocery store, is where all of the fresh fruits, vegetables, and, the fresh proteins are. So that's your best bet, is to shop that outside part of the grocery store. Everything on the inside, if it is shelf stable, it is probably not for you, at least in order to be optimal. There's definitely some things that are gonna be better than others, but that's a big part of it. So one of the things I tell people is, if you can't grow it, you probably shouldn't be eating it. And what I mean by that, and I used to say grow it or kill it, but technically, even beef, you still have to grow it. So it can kind of all be combined in that statement. But really, vegetables, obviously it needs to be grown. If it's something, if it's something that needs to be, that's in a can or a box. Now, mind you, I know that it's important to have some of those things on hand because of course we've all been told to be prepared. We don't know what the new year's gonna bring. We've heard of some food shortages in certain areas. So obviously those are things you should have on hand. But in general, if you can't grow it, or kill it, you probably shouldn't be eating it. I think one of the things that we fail to understand is that when a food is processed, it's not just broken down. Unfortunately, there's a lot of things that have to be added to it in order to keep it shelf stable, keep it from spoiling. So, unfortunately, you're going to have different chemicals, different additives and preservatives, and those are actually toxic for your body. So what your body does is it shoves it in body fat in order to protect you from the consequences of that. So that is unfortunate. So, and I'm not saying you can't have the foods that you love. I'm saying if you are eating packaged garbage on a daily basis, you're probably not going to go the direction that you want. And I think some of the numbers that upset me the most at this point is that 75% of Americans are overweight. And I believe it's 47%. It's almost 50% of Americans are diabetic or pre-diabetic. And I find that unacceptable. And I'm not just talking, look, this is not fat shaming. This is literally, be healthy. Don't you want to live a long and healthy quality life? That's what it is. I remember being 210 pounds, and at 5'2", that's a lot of weight on my poor body. I just remember being miserable, have no energy. My stomach and my guts hurt all the time, and I was always bloated and couldn't figure out why I felt so miserable. Now I know, right? And so it took me a long time to not just figure it out, because that information isn't just jumping out at you. They don't teach it in school. Even our dietary guidelines that the government puts out is incorrect. It is actually, I'm not going to say it's the right thing for anyone, but 90% of Americans don't fall under those guidelines in order to be optimal. So that's a problem. All right, so let's talk about diet foods. One of the things that I found the most interesting, like I said, every January I start throwing things at my TV because I get so mad at the commercials. Granted, I don't break it. Like, it's a big expensive TV. I'm not going to break it, but I get frustrated because, they're promoting all these diet foods that are seriously unhealthy. Nutrisystem. Half of the product is shelf stable. It's not just calories, it's macros, right? And it's quality of those macros. So you can't just say, well, I ate 500 calories less than I burned today. Great, but your body treats the different macronutrients differently. And like we just talked about, whole versus processed, if it's a processed food, your body is going to absorb more of it, and it's going to hit sugar in your bloodstream faster, which your body has to then deal with, because again, that's toxic. Too much sugar in your blood is toxic, and your body has to usher that away to cells. And then when those cells are full, right, your muscle cell, holds on to glycogen. When those cells are full, where's your body going to store it? Adipose tissue, which is body fat. So therein is our frustration. There's a big deal, early 90s, a big push. It was the whole fat causes fat. It can, but there's some different variables that have to happen alongside that. It's actually the sugars that are creating the insulin spike, which is creating the storage. So we just have to be taught better. And you may have to go educate yourself, because the information is out there, but it's not readily available. So again, that's really frustrating to me. So Things like lean cuisine. First of all, that has a crap ton of sodium in it. And sodium itself isn't bad, but the combination of that and the additives and preservatives that are in it. One of my biggest tips today, and I'm kind of getting into them early, is learn to read the ingredient list, not just the nutrition label. The nutrition label does not give you enough information, and they actually have some loopholes. So just because it has 0 sugar on the nutrition label, look under that ingredient list. Anything ending in ose is sugar. There's going to be some interesting things in there that you probably didn't know, including like caramel number 47, which again, chemical. So even things that are frozen, which sometimes are a decent option. Frozen vegetables this time of year where nothing's growing, not a horrible option. But when you're getting things like lean cuisine or some of these healthy meals, first of all, they taste like cardboard. So I just remember going, okay, well, I'm going to suck it up and eat this because it's good for me. Actually, it isn't. It might be time saving, but if you batch cook, you don't need that kind of food. And again, we're going to talk about that in a second. But I don't know about you. I can't even eat those. I think they're so gross. Early on when I first started and I was trying to educate myself, I don't remember what brand it was, but they had these like panini things. I was like, ooh, that sounds great. They were horrible. I was teaching school at the time and needed something quick during my lunch break. No, like I'd much rather at this point eat real whole food. So again, just because it is a diet food does not make it healthy. And let's really quick talk about, Slim Fast or whatever shake system, 2 shakes and a sensible dinner. If you don't, first of all, your body doesn't have to work very hard to break those shakes down. I'm not against protein shakes, but some of those, diet shakes have actually a lot of sugar in them. So again, that's not even necessarily beneficial. You're actually better off to eat real food. But number 2, you have to get enough calories. And if you're, only getting like 300 calories for a shake and 300 calories for a shake, and then your sensible dinner is only 400 calories, you're not even getting enough calories to be functionally energetic. That's, again, you have to eat enough food or your body thinks you're starving. It doesn't know the difference between diet and starvation. It just assumes you're starving. And so it literally holds on to all the fat that it possibly can. And that's a problem. Just crazy. Like I said, some of the things that I've learned over the last decade, and then I find that people are preaching this garbage. I'm going, okay, when does that work for you? How's that shaping up for you now? It's just not. And I believe that's the definition of insanity. Doing the same thing over and over again, but expecting different results. So we talked a little bit about calories versus macros. That's phenomenal if you want to have a deficit. But if all your calories come from processed carbohydrates, you're still going to gain fat. Like it does make a difference, and your body needs the different macronutrients for different needs. So, there's kind of a hierarchy. Yeah, you want to make sure you have a deficit, but you have to know the different macronutrients. Now, for those of you that aren't sure what I'm talking about, that's proteins, carbohydrates, and fats. Water and alcohol are also blah, blah, blah. But those are the main ones we're talking about. Micronutrients are the minerals, vitamins, and things that we need in order to stay healthy. All those things matter. They all matter. You just have to know. And if you're not sure what the percentage for each of those, don't just rely on the algorithm on MyFitnessPal. Unfortunately, I would say for my clients, it's probably 90% of the time not the correct formula and usually doesn't give them enough calories. So again, it has to be super basic because it has to cover a lot of different types of people, and it's not appropriate. So, okay. One of the best things that you can do as you're trying to get into your new year and your new habit, your new healthy life is to cut sugar. As a matter of fact, I do believe I had somebody ask me if I'm doing a challenge this year. Probably yes, and it's probably going to be based on detoxing because sugar is a drug. People think, what? I'm like, nope, it is addicting. If you've ever tried to cut it out, you realize that you will have withdrawals, physical withdrawals, usually something to the tune of a headache, fogginess, emotion, like, a little bit of up and down. There's some definite side effects of trying to cut out sugar. It's because your body has come to rely on it. So unfortunately, like I said, it is a drug. It is addicting. You could do the research. The research is out there. It lights up the same part of your brain as cocaine does. So it's the dopamine release, your body, and you feel really great briefly, right? That's why a lot of people use food as a coping mechanism. But then, of course, when your blood sugar drops, then you need more. And unfortunately, sugar in general does not activate your leptin levels, which is your body's ability to tell yourself you're full. So again, that's why, you can't eat 10 steaks because you're just like, oh my gosh, that's so much food. But you can eat 10 bags of chips. It's pretty easy, unfortunately. So cutting out sugar, cutting out vegetable oil. And now vegetable oil, I'm not talking about olive oil. That's actually your healthier option. But vegetable oil, canola oil, soybean oil, peanut oil. Some of those oils, especially if you're getting deep fried food at the restaurant, you don't know how long that's been in there. It could be rancid. But those actually have been shown to change your DNA, and not in a good way. Healthy fats are important, but those are, there's a really, really good book called The Big Fat Surprise. I had to make sure I got the right one. I read so many books. Big Fat Surprise. I can't tell you who the author is off the top of my head, but it is in one of the videos from Mark Hyman that I posted on this page, actually my personal page, last week. Good book, because it really talks about how fat got a bad rap for a long time, and now we're realizing that we need good healthy fats for multiple reasons. It helps to keep us optimal and healthy. So if you can avoid the bad fats, but make sure you're getting some of the good fats, and then avoid the chemicals and the toxins and the additives and preservatives, because your body just doesn't need those. It's a good start. And I know it's hard. I know it's hard. And it takes time. And if you fall off the wagon, it's okay. Like, I don't slap anybody's hands. I get it. Some of us, I had a very unhealthy relationship with food. It's taken me a lot of years to be okay with that. And I still sometimes will eat my feelings. So I get it. But that's for optimal nutrition. You really got to cut out as much of that garbage as you can. Number 6, we eat for nutrients and fuel, not just calories. Yeah, I get sometimes you're going, I'm just starving. I'm going to get whatever I can. I'm going to drive through McDonald's. By the way, I can't even eat McDonald's anymore. I tried a few weeks ago. I was like, you know what? I haven't had a cheeseburger in years, because that's drunk food. That's hangover food. But I was like, you know what? I'm going to try it. First of all, the price was like more than double what I thought it would be. I know everything's gone up, right? It didn't even taste good. I was actually really disappointed, and it kind of proved my point that it's just not worth it. I felt gross when I was done, but I was like, oh, I'm just gonna let myself have something, and no, it wasn't worth it. So remember that you're eating to support your body, your goals, your activity, and if you're eating garbage, it's just you're not gonna be optimal. It's like It's like putting really cheap, crappy gas in your car when it's a sports car and it kind of sputters and can't get anywhere. It's because you're not giving it what it needs. You need the vitamins and the minerals in order to function optimally. Also, just really quick, I know a lot of times people say, well, I eat Pop-Tarts and they have minerals and vitamins in it. See, it's enriched. There's a big difference between synthetic vitamins and vitamins made with superfoods, or the vitamins that you get from your food. Your body digests and utilizes them much better. Synthetic is a different chemical structure that your body doesn't use optimally. Even things like supplements. When I have people look for a multivitamin, I tell them to look for something that's more than one pill. It's probably gonna be a pack, because you cannot get what you need in a daily dose in one vitamin. You just can't. So get a pack, and really look for having it made by superfoods, because then it's just been taken from an actual grown food, whatever that is, whether it's vegetables, and it's broken down and put in a way that it can transfer to you. So again, there's a huge difference there. You can take a bunch of vitamins and still feel super crappy, because again, your body's not using it like it should. Okay, so couple of tips. And I don't want to make it complicated. I think that's part of it. People get overwhelmed by, again, there's so much noise on social media. I get it. Some cute little gals who are like, look at me, I'm a bikini girl. Someone tell you what to do. You don't know what hormones, girl. There's just too much information there. But start with the basics. Start with the easy part, which is clean it up. Just eat a little bit better. And here's the deal. You can make healthy food taste good. Did you know that chefs were the original nutritionists? I mean, if you think about it, way back when, they knew how to put flavors together. They knew how to use fresh herbs and all those great things that can be really good for you. So you can make it taste good. As a matter of fact, like I said, I can't stand anything from the freezer section when it comes to healthy foods. Use Pinterest. If you're not sure, when people tell me I'm really super bored, I'm like, well, what are you putting on it? What are you doing with your chicken? Well, I'm still eating, boiled chicken and broccoli. Okay, what are you using on it? Well, nothing. I'm eating it bland. Why? Like, why would you do that? Come up with something that's healthy. Eventually, you're going to be able to look at those recipes on Pinterest and go, oh, well, I can't have the maple syrup because that is pure sugar, but I can change it for this. And that's how I come up with meals with Melissa every week, is sometimes I'll find a really great recipe, but I don't want to necessarily have the honey in it. So what can I add that's different that can be a little bit heavy? Not saying that you should never have honey, but I don't necessarily want, whatever it is. Even organic coconut sugar is still sugar, right? So again, you just have to pay attention, but you can make some great things. That's why I experiment. We talked about learning to read the ingredient list, not just the nutrition label. And I get we're all trying to help support local business. I'm not against ordering things from local restaurants. The problem is you gotta make a good choice. And because a lot of those things are online, you can hop on their website and see what it is that you can have, and you can make some special requests. Like, I really want this chicken, but I don't want it marinated, and I want the sweet potato, but I don't want all the sour cream and all, or whatever they're putting on. I don't want all that stuff on it. Can I have it just plain, and I can add my own at home? So again, there's ways to do that, but your best option is to cook your own food. And I think that's a lost art these days. That's why I batch cook. If you learn to batch cook, just case in point, I like to do a full batch of chicken in a crock pot, cook it overnight in broth, and then I leave it in the fridge until I need it, and then I can season it. So I can use sugar-free barbecue sauce. I can use taco seasoning. I can use my little mustard, sweet and spicy mustard sauce. I can do all these things with it after the fact, so I can keep it switched up. But I don't have to cook every meal. It's efficient. I'm busy. I don't have time to cook every meal. I do like breakfast hot, so I do cook that every morning, but everything else needs to be ready to go so I can run throughout the day and take it with me. And that is how you make sure that you eat healthy on a regular basis. And if for some odd reason, and this happens all the time, if I accidentally leave my food at home, I know what I can get at a grocery store or something local that will suffice. So it takes time. It takes time to figure all this out, to figure out your groove, to figure out what works for you, and to make sure that you're eating what works best for you with your goals and with your genetics. So hopefully, I think that's everything. Hopefully you have an incredible Christmas, you guys. I'm really hoping that you are getting to spend time with friends and family. Just take care of yourself. Be safe. Do the best you can for you to be healthy, because that's important as well. Yes, do the things that we're told, but I don't know why people wouldn't want to be as healthy as they possibly can. 99.9% survival rate. Yeah, I'm kind of dumbfounded. But all right, have an incredible week. Merry Christmas, you guys. Happy everything. Happy holidays. There will be meals with Melissa this weekend. We'll make it something interesting. But have an incredible week. I love you all. Be happy and healthy, people.